All right, should we recap? Nah, I think you got it. Hey, thanks, Pascal. Lots of important work being done by MEF. Collaboration and automation require standards and APIs, and it's clear that's where MEF comes in. Good stuff. For our final look at today's topic, we're taking a deep dive with experts from PCCW Global and Nustar speaking about functionality to enhance the customer's experience in a digital world. Here's what they had to say. Okay, we are delighted to have here with us Devesh Gupta, VP New Technology and Sales Operations with PCCW Global, and John Denemark, Senior Vice President and General Manager, Carrier Provisioning with Nustar. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here and for taking the time to chat. Let's start off with some introductions. Why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself and your role within your organization. Devesh, let's start with you and then go to John.
Thank you, Jeff. My name is Devesh Gupta, and I'm the VP for New Technologies and Sales Operations at PCCW Global. My role involves automation of managed services and also API development for our carrier partners. And at MEF, I'm the co-chair for the Test and Certification Committee. PCCW Global is a international carrier and service provider. We provide all the flavors of connectivity, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. And value-added services into security and SD-WAN. Thank you.
Hi, Devesh and Jeff, hi, everyone. My name is John Denemark. I'm a Senior Vice President and General Manager at Nustar. I run the carrier provisioning business, which is part of our communication solutions suite of services, and we're focused on the communications market. We provide order management services to our carrier customers. We provide simplified and automated solutions to help modernize those processes for our customers.
Wonderful. Well, again, thank you both for being here with us today. Devesh, let's start off with you here. First question. With business-critical applications moving to cloud and employees working from remote or home locations due to the pandemic, enterprises expect global access to on-demand ICT services, including cloud resources, storage, compute, and networking resources, Ethernet, and internet access. How are service providers addressing these requirements for a unified digital experience?
Great question, Jeff, and I agree with you. Enterprises are increasingly accessing all their applications from the cloud, be it public or private or hybrid clouds. And it's on the ICT service providers. I think the demand is for being able to provide on-demand connectivity to these clouds, which can be used in an automated fashion, much like the service providers or the enterprises use cloud resources today, be it compute or storage or any other value-added services. So where does this put service providers in the frame? They're actually undergoing digital transformation. Most of the service providers that we know globally are working on automating their existing legacy telecom services in order to meet the challenges that have been posed by the ongoing pandemic and, like I said, the movement of all these applications in the cloud and people working remotely from home offices. So here at PCCW Global, I'd like to share some experience as to what we are doing to address that challenge. Our CEO has propagated the vision of us moving from a telecom company to becoming a technology-driven company. And it actually essentially means that in addition to what we're doing in terms of wholesale data and voice services, we're now increasingly offering on-demand services, which are connectivity services access to public or private clouds. From manual service delivery into an automated mode of provision of these services, and then from manual settlements into automated settlements with other carriers. So how do we achieve that, or how any other carrier can achieve that? I would say that there are two key factors there. One very strategic resource is people resources for any carrier or any company around. And in order for us to be able to transform us digitally, you would need to adopt a common framework. Here at PCCW Global, we've adopted SAFE, which is an acronym for Scaled Agile Framework. It allows us to work on short 2-week sprints and 3-month program increments, which allow us to have all of our development staff who are actually coding or providing network automation to work hand in hand with our IP engineering team to be able to collaborate and then provide newer services in an automated fashion to the market. That's the first thing. The second is the technology itself has changed quite a lot from the past. Nowadays, you have software-defined networks that would help automate the actual provisioning of these networks, but also a widespread API economy is actually kind of fueling the digital world. What it does is you basically have smaller business processes, be it, for example, let's say a quote, a service provider is requesting for a particular location with a fellow provider and asking for how much does local access cost in a country. Things like that. These processes can be automated, and using an API, you can cut down carrier-to-carrier transaction time from weeks to months to literally a matter of minutes. So I would say those are the two key aspects, the people resources and also the technology that are fueling the digital transformation in the carrier world. And that kind of helps to address the challenges raised by the pandemic and also the requirement from the enterprise customer segments.
All right, a lot there. Thank you so much for that, Devesh. John, same question to you. Would love to hear your viewpoint on all this as well.
Sure, Jeff. I mean, look, I'm probably going to hit some of the same points as Devesh did, but maybe from a little bit of a different viewpoint. So from our perspective, COVID really put service providers to the test and highlighted just how dependent our society has become on connectivity. So fortunately, a lot of businesses were able to pretty much carry on as usual, which is quite amazing when you stop and think about it. And really a credit to the service providers that made it possible. Now, having said that, we do see a market that's changing. We've got SD-WAN and SASE that are new network overlay technologies that are giving enterprises and their employees flexible and secure ways to connect, whether it's down the street or at home or around the world. Plus, there's 5G, there's IoT, there's cloud infrastructure, which are all driving connectivity demand, enabling new advanced applications, and really reshaping what connectivity is used for and how it's being delivered. And so service providers are building out their networks and upgrading their systems and spending billions of dollars in the process in order to meet the demand for these new advanced applications. And in order to meet enterprise customer expectations, it means providing ubiquitous coverage for the applications that they depend on, no matter where they're located. We've seen this lead to a renewed interest and focus on ordering network access for many carriers, including on the wholesale level. And this is an area where Nustar has been focused, working with service providers to simplify and automate their ordering processes with modern API-based solutions. So some of the same points that Devesh made about adopting the SAFE framework and having tight integration between product and engineering and quick release cycles, which allows us to put product out quickly. That we're also doing that. But in addition, we have created in this area a new suite of services that is again modern API based, that simplifies and automates what in many ways is today a very manual and time-consuming and problem-ridden process.
So, John, a lot of good news there. What shape would you say the industry is in when it comes to inter-carrier connectivity? Do you see any issues, potential red flags?
Well, I guess the first thing I would say is we talk about the underlay network, the plumbing, really, that is powering all of these new services like SD-WAN and cloud computing. Whether it's MPLS or broadband internet, the connections need to be in place before these services work. And right now, this remains a huge bottleneck for operators, as I said just a little bit ago. So this is especially true when an enterprise customer falls outside of a carrier's network footprint. And it happens more often than you would think, because really even the largest service providers don't have network everywhere. They need to purchase network access from others to effectively serve their enterprise customers. So the buying and selling of network access among service providers involves flows of multiple billions of dollars in the US and around the world. And that wholesale ordering process is broken right now. It can take weeks or even months to complete an order. Service providers use these processes to order Ethernet or dark fiber or lit fiber, bolos, cross connects. There's a number of different things, and increasingly they use wholesale buying processes to order broadband internet also, primarily as an enabling technology for SD-WAN. It's a great low-cost option for some services and applications because it's so much cheaper than traditional MPLS, but for operators, it's a real pain. There are zero ordering standards, which makes the whole buying process especially difficult and time-consuming. And we happen to know that there are account managers within service providers that steer their enterprise customers away from SD-WAN because it's so difficult to order broadband. And obviously, that can have negative impacts on revenue and customer experience. So just a couple other things of why this is happening. So much of the problem stems from the fact that legacy systems are often difficult to adapt to next generation services like SD-WAN and SASE and broadband on demand. The wholesale ordering process definitely hasn't kept pace. It still relies on outdated and complicated standards, or no standards at all, actually. Emails and phone calls and spreadsheets and systems that don't talk to each other, and lots of swivel chair processes. So mistakes are common. Orders can fall through the cracks. And meanwhile, your enterprise customers are calling and complaining and asking, what's happening. So there's massive amounts of headcount that are focused on these issues, both on the buy side and on the sell side. From our perspective, it's a bit of a mess. So the point really that I'm getting to is that this area is ripe for modernization. Carriers that are expanding and modernizing their capabilities of the BSS and OSS, they can't help but look at the wholesale area as well, because it's such an important part of service delivery and such a source of delays and customer experience issues. And the way to fix this is to simplify and automate the process of shopping for and ordering intercarrier services. We have seen this drive efficiencies in the delivery of services by shortening install intervals and reducing order fallout and inaccuracies. And Nustar has an automated solution in this case for both the buy side and the sell side of this equation that can plug into a carrier's OSS BSS stack and become the easy button for modernizing this part of their world.
All right, a lot of great points there, John. Thank you for that. Devesh, we're coming back to you now. You were recently appointed co-chair of the MEF Test and Certification Committee. Can you tell us a little bit more about the work being done under MEF in defining common industry standard LSO APIs that enable providers to seamlessly buy and sell services bilaterally?
Sure, Jeff. And I think I'll drill upon quite a lot of what John touched just now on the difficulty of having the carrier wholesale process automated, and the difficulty in the current processes where the inefficiencies actually take a lot of time for us to revert back to customer requirements. So here at MEF, there are multiple committees. The LSO committee actually is helping define standards exactly for those business processes. We call the MEF LSO, which stands for Lifecycle Orchestration. It kind of standardizes the business-to-business interface reference points. And it's defined under the MEF standard, MEF-55. The LSO standard actually takes each part of the lifecycle orchestration So if you look at breaking it down, you start with an address validation where you have a customer's address and you're trying to request for a particular service at that address. So you validate and find out whether that's on a footprint of a carrier's network or not. And from there on, you have multiple steps there. You have, you check with the site, you check for the product ordering qualification, you check for how much would it cost, quote, order, trouble ticketing, billing. So all of these aspects are covered under the MEF LSO portfolio. And the good part about this is because MEF is a consortium of all service providers and technology providers. These are the providers which are coming together and they're forming these standards. So, if there is a standard that's written for each step of these LSO business processes, they go through multiple CFC call for comments, and then finally, when everyone approves them, they become a published standard. In the last couple of years, there's been a lot of work being done on automating and providing software development kits, SDKs, for exactly these processes. These are standard processes which are being developed under MEF, and the Git repositories hosts the SDKs which can be used by any of the carriers. They can come and use them, and then they can create common looking APIs which would help them to automate these business processes. So a lot of my work at the Test and Certification Committee is on taking this initiative further along from what the LSO committee has done. And we have two key things that we are actually working on in the behind the scenes, which are going to be brought to market in the later part of this year. The first one is an OIT platform, in short for operational and interop between multiple carriers. It would be like a sandbox where a carrier, buyer, and a seller pair can come. They can use these SDKs that are published by the MEF, and they can develop the APIs, integrate that, and connect with their backend OSS and BSS systems, and then interoperate and test to make sure that these work. The second initiative is a certification platform where after you've developed those APIs, you can actually test them against the MEF standard and get your APIs certified. So I feel that these would go in a long way in at least addressing that gap between automation and the processes that are happening manually today. And it would also touch upon reduction of cost, because what happens is a lot of these service operators who already have APIs which are providing automation for these processes, they might look a little different. So what happens is when you start working with multiple operators, and most of us do, so like for example, PCCW Global has more than 300 active partners with whom we would buy access or connectivity services in around the globe. If you were to automate using APIs which are looking different, each time you onboard a partner, it would take you that much more time because it's a repetitive process. But everyone starts using a standard. The amount of time it takes for you to bring a new partner on board for buying or for selling would drop drastically. So we're hoping that this work done at MEF would address that equation.
Great, thanks, Devesh. So in your experience, how would you say the ecosystem of players and service providers is evolving in this space?
Well, okay, so it's getting exciting day by day. We've seen emergence of several large global providers who are actually automating, at least in the context of the on-net, data center to data center connectivity. And it's being offered as a service which can be consumed via a web portal or through APIs. So what does that mean in terms of ecosystem of other cloud operators and connectivity providers and in data center operators? Well, I think with greater adoption of standardized APIs and standardized business processes, it would actually help the whole carrier community in general. So for example, take for instance a customer requesting for a cloud resource, let's say here in Hong Kong, and they're sitting somewhere in Europe. You would be able to get the connectivity and also the cloud service, all of that through a single portal. It could also be extended through an API if it is a wholesale customer. So I think with standard-based APIs and larger adoption of this automated business process, that would help fuel the ecosystem of buyers and sellers, and it would eventually help the enterprise customers, because now enterprise customers would have something equivalent of, let's say, an eBay, but in the telecom domain, you can source a lot of services through a common platform. These could be the newer security services, the SASE, the SD-WAN services, or edge cloud or edge compute, all of them offered through a single portal, which are running a connectivity underlay underneath. So it actually ensures also class of service or quality of service, and not just running on a public internet, which you cannot get on a public internet. So the combination of a network as a service plus application and security as a service on top would be something that we're looking at in this ecosystem.
Thanks, Devesh. John, back over to you now. Do you agree? We'd love to hear your thoughts, perspective on really how you see the ecosystem here of players and service providers evolving.
Sure, and just a couple points on the MEF standards that Devesh was talking about. Actually, that's such important work that MEF and even the TM Forum have done over the years in driving and in creating and then helping to drive the adoption of new standards in this area. What we're doing at Nustar with our solutions is we're facilitating the adoption of those standards between our customers. So, for example, here in the United States, there are some legacy standards that have been in place. They're very complicated and difficult to use, but still, at least there's some standards for a lot of this intercarrier work. There are also, like, broadband has no standards, so that's that's the Wild West there. But there are some standards that people have built to over the years. What we're doing is we're actually translating between the old and the new, and so we can take in orders using any standard and deliver them and help to manage those orders to completion via any other standard. So we can take an ASOG and deliver via MEF or TM Forum or vice versa. And this is very useful to our customers in the United States and also U.S. based carriers that are doing work internationally. So that was just a couple points on the standards. I do want to talk a little bit about the ecosystem that from our perspective is exploding to the point where it's really sort of difficult to keep up. There's greater diversity and complexity than we've ever seen, with everything from consortiums and master agents and to different flavors of managed service providers and cloud providers, or even tower companies, and all now providing connectivity services. And we've seen some cases where we've got enterprise IT departments even bringing their own broadband and then layering services on top. So greater competition is good for the enterprises. It's definitely helps to find cost-effective, creative ways of getting connectivity they need, which is good. But it also means that everyone needs to step up their game and find ways to be successful in this environment. And the ability for carriers to easily and seamlessly connect and do business with each other, regardless of how you define carrier, will become increasingly crucial. And just SD-WAN is a great example here. I mean, it's all about making connectivity frictionless, but the underlay network also needs to be frictionless as well, and otherwise it becomes a massive bottleneck. And from our perspective, the great news is that there is a solution. Nustars Universal Order Connect is our hosted API-based platform that's used to deliver a simplified and automated product suite for ordering for any type of network connectivity with any provider using any standard or no standard at all. We've seen a great market response from service providers looking to modernize their OSS and BSS stacks and upgrade their customer experience. So that's been I think a real positive for us.
Thanks, John. Gentlemen, this has been fantastic. We have time just for one final question for both of you here. So Devesh, your final question here. What are some of the lessons you feel you've learned from your digital transformation journey And if you have any messages for service providers looking to automate their service offerings, could you share with us? I guess that was two questions, Devesh. So.
I'll take them both, Jeff. Thanks. So in summary, I think I would touch upon the initial thing that I mentioned, that for service providers and technology providers who are wishing to automate or going through the digital transformation journey, I think the people resource is one of the biggest things that needs to change in terms of getting know-how and also getting trained in a scaled agile or some form of an agile framework, which allows both the software development team and also the IP networking team to work together hand in hand, because these solutions, they're very technical and there is software defined. So there are two worlds that need to combine to get this automation journey going for any carrier. So that's really crucial, I would say. In addition to that, I think instead of boiling the ocean, getting everything changed which would take a lot of time, I think the agile mindset says you could work in smaller MVPs or smaller minimum viable products in order to automate. So, for example, if a small business or a small carrier is providing access services in a country, they could look at just automating a quote and order piece. It could be as simple as providing a listed price for a set of metros within the country, and providing an API framework for a wholesale company to come and buy services from them. It could be as small as that, and it could stretch to somewhere where you have the entire network automated, and then you can provision and also build services on an automated fashion. So anywhere between those 2 points, if you start your journey and you kind of one step at a time automate your business processes, I think that the effect and also the benefit can be seen by those enterprise carriers. And finally, I'd also like to add that please come and join MEF. There is a lot of excitement and work being done under standardization of these business processes. And I think every company can come and contribute to that process, and also learn from other carriers and take that standardized automated fabric home and get those APIs developed in your environment. Then it would help fuel the digital economy and have a good effect on services that require carrier to carrier automation. So please come and join MEF and help us with in the endeavor to digital transform your network.
Love it. Devesh, thank you so much for that. John, take it home. Same topic here. Some of the lessons that you've learned along the way, and any messages you have for service providers looking to automate their service offerings.
Sure. So look, for any service provider looking to automate their offerings and deliver services faster, and we've worked with a number of them. My key takeaway is they really need to ask themselves if the way they order intercarrier connectivity is working for them. Sometimes you need to step back and look at your current tools and processes and ask if they still make sense. And I completely agree with Devesh. We also don't think there's any need to boil the ocean here. At Nustar, we're focused on simplifying and automating the wholesale buying and selling of network access. Nustar's Universal Order Connect is, we think, the only solution in the market that streamlines the process for ordering any type of wholesale access and transport connectivity, including broadband. And we talked about that. We've talked about the difficulties inherent in that. But we've also partnered with Connected to Fiber so that carriers can have a single interface to quickly locate which providers offer the right service at the right location, instantly get and compare quotes, and then turn them into orders with the click of a button. Our automated workflow simplifies order creation, validation, and submission, helping operators deliver connections up to 40% faster. And we also have a sell-side version of this solution. It's called UOC Marketplace, and it's for those looking to promote their wholesale services, automate order receipt, and provide customers with real-time status update. UOC is built on a modern technology stack with open APIs and snaps right into a carrier's OSS BSS stack as the easy button for ordering connectivity.
All right, and that's it for all of us. John, we are out of time. Gentlemen, that is a wrap. Thank you so much again for taking the time and for sharing your insights and expertise.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Devesh.